Now, me and Emma were just talking about what happened to the blobs. So what are they called, Emma? What's your blobs called? You give them a name?
They're fibroids.
They're fibroids. Why are they fibroids?
They were non-cancerous tumours growing in my uterus, attached to my uterus.
And why were they all that?
Why were they what?
Why were they all that? Because the doctor told you. That's what you've been told. That's what they're shown in the scans and all that kind of stuff. Uh-huh. Now, you guys tell if you want to go out or we just want to have a look. There she goes. Maybe she wants that. Now, when it comes... She wants to have a look. How's that? That'll tell you something. So when it comes... I've talked about this in a clip before, way before Em even got it pulled out. And concerns we have, but what can you do about it when you're just a puppet and you just got to sit there and you're just one, and hopefully that what you're saying makes sense, even though you'll get taught the same to others. That's how we try to connect, by teaching the similar things or what's right and morally right, by using some moral main keys like religion and science and certain things like that. That's how we morally get along, isn't it? And so I want to talk about the blobs, and I want to talk about cameras and stuff like that, and other cultures. See, other cultures, like right now, they're starting to leave the umbilical cord on, and people eat bits of stuff and all that, and they find that's okay, or all right. And some might just want to have things videoed, but some people are so worried about failing at their job, or they might be a failure and they shouldn't be there if that's true, and don't want to be recorded, even though it's all a practice reason. Right? There's nothing to hide in such an area, isn't it? Unless you've got things to hide. Right? And that's what makes me worried when certain areas don't want to do certain things. And I've talked about how rich people can get anything done. We can play anything, make out a play, which is pay people. And I've just talked about we're on a pay people place, so you can imagine it. It's like a movie. You can do it in real life. Hear that? The pay people. As they try to make movies and set people up and do all sorts of things. But anyway, get out of all that. That's the pay people thing. I nearly got stuck. I got told from a teacher once when I was yelling in the class after being in a play meeting and doing a play. And then she said, "Oh, someone been in a play out there?" And I went, "Yeah!" Because you have to yell in the play. And it took me a little bit to get used to yelling. And then, you know how that goes, and you get used to it, and then you're like yelling a little bit more. And I'm like, oh, shit. Anyway, enough of all that. I just like to chuck in some things as we do. Back at... What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, the blobs. And... Yeah, fibroids. And how she believes it's fibroid. Now, she believes it's fibroid because she has trust in the system. Is that true, Emma? That's how you've gotten all that knowledge so far. Because you haven't seen the fibroids or what they actually showed you. So, in the end, it's trust, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they're supposed to see and help people.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm just saying. They're supposed to say and help people. So, yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? But that's trust of what they believe they say they are. And we know we're in a world of what? So you got to really want to trust. And when you find out things, what happens? You never trust again, which is what I've talked about when it comes to some people talking about don't talk to the police. Right? You would know for real when it happens to you. Like in some places, people actually steal babies at hospitals and say that they didn't have one or it died and all these things, as they have trust in the system. Hey?
Yeah, occasionally, but not so much.
Yeah.
But I know it does happen.
Yeah, it does. It happens, as they have trust in the system.
Poor countries.
Oh, you don't even have to be poor. You just have to fool people or hope that they have that trust. As Emma has the trust all the way. As I'm about to tell you a story, not saying it's true or anything, it's a theory of why we should have certain things and why people request certain things, right? As they might have enemies, as they've had it happen before and they don't want it to happen again, and so on, about that kind of thing. And so you should have cameras when it comes to removing things from the body, right, for these people. They would like it to be cameraed so they know it's real. It was real. It wasn't just put in our head. And perhaps over time, and we've seen it real heaps of times, you get over it. Right? You don't want it so much unless you make it your thing. And that's fine. Some people like to keep their wedding videos and some people don't even want a video. Right? And so without the video, we got photos. So photos, you can easily just manifest. You can cut someone open and go, look, here you go, look, here you go. You know, doesn't show it in there. They show photos in it, the same thing. And you need a lot of photos to show that you pulled it out, like kind of thing, you know. Like that. You need a lot of photos, which they did back in the day. Or you just have a video, which is a heap of those photos. That's what time is. Slow down timer and go or you speed up. Right? What is the fastest time for you? For us, we have our perception, and on other planets, and it's true with gravity and everything, they have theirs, and they have their time too, which what we talked about. And so with these hospitals, anything can happen in those places. They're not a safe place. So they were doing these schemes at another hospital. They can do these schemes to other people with the same trust, couldn't they? And you wouldn't even know it's happening because there's none of these safety security spots that people request all the time, not only for their faith and for them to make them feel good. It actually makes sense to fix certain areas to make sure they don't happen. So if you can, the sooner the better is the thing you're meant to do on that kind of thing when it comes to safety priorities and getting evidence and all that kind of thing, right? And apparently it's always a money problem as countries always keep spending money and blowing it. And you look back and you go, what happened to that? All that money you spent on advertising that. These people, you spent a lot of money and these people got a lot of money, but they just saved it. Doesn't mean anything. And you're still in debt to the country and there's more rich people. What does that mean? Right? And so we have these areas that should be main priorities and should have been talked about 20 years ago, and they probably were, and still 30 or 40, and still haven't happened as they're blowing money. And we look back at the gamblers and they're not there anymore, and it's pretty crazy. Lightning going off, anything. And so when it comes to these stories, what I'm going to say is that it's all on hope. They could have pulled out babies for all we know, right, as people done in other countries, as I'm saying, and we wouldn't know. And we can't even check up. So how cool Western extra is that when it comes to safety and freedom of speech and what we should believe to have and who's recording now and why aren't others recording and how much does it cost for a recording device, how much does it cost for these operations and how much they want for pills? Isn't that all a joke? And then they say it's too much for this when it really isn't. When you look at the science of how much it costs to manufacture something, if you want something big for your country, you might as well make it yourself. Definitely if you can get the materials. If someone else is making it cheap, it's because they're paying them cheaper. You see? Like we have over in certain countries. Doesn't mean that it's better. It might even be made better because if people doesn't get paid as good, they don't usually want to put as good in it. So a better product is more time, more pay, or more pay, and they will put more effort in and they don't want to lose that pay, that good job, right? Because it's decent for them. But anyway, I thought I'd chuck that out as I've talked about it before. Better come to that issue. Some people laugh at me. Emma laughed at me on that issue about wanting cameras, didn't you? Yeah, you still do it like that. You just did it then, didn't you? Yeah. As she doesn't know about God or have faith in all that, but she has faith in the system, don't you, Emma? You haven't been beaten up yet and had to call the cops. You've seen it. See, we see things and we go, but we don't really feel it. Once you feel something, it's a difference. It's like seeing someone shoot it and you know it's wrong. But once you shoot it yourself, you feel it. And it's the same with these people who have hope. People have hope until they, like in science, until his wife dies and goes, oh, no, God, now I was doing all the good thing and he did that and his bad guys still have their wife. I don't understand it. I don't like that God, how he works and makes bad guys get more good than us and all these things. And so people change their mind and they lose their hope. Right? And that's maybe because they're not educated enough to see certain things. And in most cases, that's true. Right? Or even got the words wrong in the first place. Right? But you won't know until it gets done onto you for real. You can know. You can read a book. It's like when Indiana Jones goes to the library and goes, you need to get out. You can know all these things, you know it all. But wait till you get out there, you get in the spot on you, you go, hey, and you'll run off and you won't even be able to do the job that you know about. You get it? Because you're not used to spiders. You're not used to all these other things. You didn't get out there. You didn't get real with it. Like I'm getting real with the debating. Back in my day, I didn't like to debate, as I wasn't a very good reader and debating was to read and study. But when I had to do it, I did it. And I did it by studying with others. I needed to study with others in a lot of things back in the day, or have something to read it back in that case. I wasn't a good reader. But once I studied it with someone else, I was as good as them. Yeah? And I could maybe perhaps remember it longer, because memory comes in another factor of how we all function. Yeah? And that's how we learn. We learn through something. It's like someone teaching you. See that? Anyway, have a good one. And I hope you get my point about that. And you let me know in comments, as if I was running in the government, that'll be one thing that I would want to change. So I'll talk about it. So let me know what you'd think about that. Would you accept that every hospital, this needs an upgrade, and we'll buy bulk, and we'll even have our country make these things, as we're going to have a lot, so there's some profit there. We know there's profit. And so we'll have our people or the government make it themselves and even make the profit off it. Government's going to have buildings to make money too. They do it anyway. They just like to rather be the investor and have other people work for them, which is fine because they're the government, right? And the less things they've got to 100% look at constantly, the better, and less people to pay and all that kind of stuff. Less government, you know what I mean? Too many governments, it can make you look bad when that sector fails, right? So you try to make things as more simple as you can, and that's why we spread out work. You can do all the work yourself, but at the end of the day, you've done all the work and you didn't get to run around. Or you can get some people to do the work with you, and you get to go sit down a bit, like the babies around here get to play and sit around and be a bit cooler and do things a bit different than other birds, as they're not looking for food constantly. If you want to have boring birds, have a starving country. And all you have these birds looking for food, and they're not learning anything different and tricks and that, because they're just looking for food. Sounds like humans, right? So if you want to upgrade not just your humans and your animals, well, connect and have food around. And the more food around you have, the more time they'll have to connect. It's pretty basic. And they'll go kiss. But money kills that. Money pays for another kiss. Anyway, have a good one and see you later.